This episode of The Bill and Callie Show is brought to you by Wild Birds Unlimited of Cherville, bringing people and nature together.
Hello, welcome to the Bill and Kelly Show, coming to you from the Humane Indiana Shelter in Munster, Indiana. With us today we have Jessica Petalas, and she is the director of the Humane Indiana Shelter here in Munster. So welcome to our show.
Thanks for having me.
And I tell you, both Kelly and myself are so excited that you're allowing us to do this project. We absolutely love animals. I mean, in fact, there's days when I'm pretty sure Kelly prefers animals over me. So, and specifically birds. Oh my gosh, birds, Bill. The birds have went out. But nonetheless, thank you for coming on and agreeing to share some history of the shelter here. So why don't you tell us about the shelter, how it came to be, and how its name changed over the years?
So we used to be known as the Humane Society Calumet area. We were founded over 75 years ago in Hammond by a Miss Evelyn Schweitzer. She was concerned about the welfare of the animals in the community, so she kind of formed a group and it turned into a Humane Society. We had since moved to Munster, and that's when we had our name Humane Society Calumet area. But within the last few years, we've really expanded to working with other kinds of animals. We have the Wildlife Rehabilitation Center in Valparaiso, so the name Humane Society just didn't really fit what we were doing anymore, because we're doing a lot of outreach, a lot of humane education. We're working with wildlife. We have a resale shop. Even at the shelter, you know, it's not the old philosophy of that a lot of humane societies had, where you just kind of take everything in that comes at the door. We'd rather keep animals with their owners. So Humane Society Calumet area was just a name that we outgrew. So we rebranded, and we are now Humane Indiana.
Awesome. And it's a beautiful facility. And in fact, we're going to be showing some pictures of that we took, and we hope to be coming back here and taking some pictures of some furry kiddos that need adoption, so need a home. And there's some beautiful ones here today. In fact, I told you as I was coming in, I wish we could take another dog in, because I would so do it today. Yeah, there's a beautiful German Shepherd out front. So talk about some of the processes, like the intake process. Where do these furry creatures come from that you adopt out here?
So they come from all over the place. We primarily house dogs and cats. We have had some things that are not canines and felines in the facility before. Occasionally we'll get your little critter like a guinea pig or rabbit or ferret or hamster, but we try not to take those just because the facility isn't set up to be a relaxing place for a small critter like that. We've had pigs in the past, we've had birds in the past. But we really just focus on dogs and cats. The vast majority of our intake is a transfer in from an animal control facility. We try our best to partner with some of the local animal controls specifically, and some of the local shelters, and try to pull animals from them when they've become overburdened. We do have a program for strays for areas that don't have an animal control contract, but we really try to divert stray animals to their own jurisdiction's animal control, just because each animal control is different. They each have their own ordinances, their own stray holds, and rules that they have to abide by. Plus, the animal control officers are very familiar with their own area, and I can't tell you how many times I've had an animal control officer say, I know that cat, it gets out frequently, I know exactly where it needs to go home to, whereas we don't know that information because we're not out doing field work. So Usually, if somebody comes in, they bring us a stray, and we know it's an area or a locality that has its own animal control, we encourage them, please take them to your own animal control. If animal control needs our help, once a stray hold is up, they will contact us. Otherwise, they have a whole list, a whole list of things that they have to check off in a process that we don't want to, we don't want to impose upon.
Right.
We do have a surrender prevention program. We do take surrenders, but we really try to encourage people to keep their pets because their pets are best kept with their family and not in the shelter. Shelters are like jails for animals. We try not to impound an animal unless it really needs our resources, which is why we focus mainly on pulling from other shelters and other animals that are already in a shelter's custody. If somebody comes in and they need to surrender their pet and they're having like financial hardships, usually we'll offer preventative medicines, spay neuter, vaccines, food at little or no cost to them so that they can just keep their pet. So we do take in owner surrenders, but the vast majority of our intakes are transfers in from another facility. It's only a very small percentage of surrenders just because we want people to be able to keep their pets.
Right. And that's what, when talking to you, seems the objective here. Mm-hmm. It's not to house pets.
Right.
Try to get them out
Yes.
and get them into a nice, loving family where they can get cared for.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I did notice, there's a clinic attached here.
Yes.
that
Mm-hmm.
provides clinic service, obviously. Are those primarily for the intakes, or like you said, there are some people that maybe fall in hard times that may need
so
help?
the shelter does utilize the clinic for spay neuter because we spay and neuter every animal before we adopt them out. The shelter animals go home vaccinated with all the core vaccines. If they're dogs that they're old enough, they get heartworm tested, and then we cover treatment if they're positive at no cost to the adopter. They're spayed, neutered, they're microchipped, and they're dewormed to the best of our ability. And then we have the clinic attached to the shelter. We utilize it for spay neuter surgeries on the shelter side. However, there's services that the public can take advantage of in the clinic. We got the clinic as a result of the lovely Estelle Marcus. She was a big supporter of us, and with her donation we were able to build the clinic. So the clinic is available for people that are on that are low income, that are on any sort of government assistance, residents of Gary and East Chicago. If you are a caretaker of feral cats, or if you're a 501c3 rescue group or animal control, as well as if you own any sort of pit bull or pit bull mix, you can get serviced at the clinic, and it's
awesome.
Low cost pricing.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's quite a, there's some pets that the people do provide a loving home, but there's times when economy, something bad happens, someone loses a job, and it's really disheartening to bring them to a shelter because they can't afford to take care of it. So it's nice to know there's some resources out there that keeps that pet in a loving family. That's great. Why don't you tell us a bit about the adoption process? What does a person say when they come in the door? What does that look like?
So the adoption process for us is very simple. We try really hard to make our adoption process open and smooth and quick. All you have to do is be at least 21. Come in and visit the animal that you are interested in, and you fill out an application, and that's it. And then you meet with a counselor. And if the animal's fully vetted and already spayed and neutered, you can potentially take the animal home the same day. Otherwise, it takes a day or two to get into surgery, and then you come pick up your new pet, and that's it.
Awesome, great. And now, do you have any upcoming special events for adoption that may be coming up that you want to share with people?
Yeah, so August 17th, we are participating in NBC's Clear the Shelter. It's a national adoption day, or national adoption event day, and there's shelters all over the country that are trying to just empty their shelters. So the goal is to empty every kennel we have, and what we're going to do that day is waive the fee on the majority of our shelter pets.
Oh, awesome. So a lot of furry friends will find homes that day.
Yes.
That's great. That's absolutely great. And I tell you, you've got to make it out here, because to not want to bring one of these guys home is it's hard. It's hard. And we already have a house full, but just walking back this morning is like, oh gosh.
Yeah.
And these poor guys. Again, this is a very safe place, but it's not an ideal long-term care facility for pets. And that's what, so if you have a chance to get out, what are the hours here?
So we open every day at 11. Sundays and Mondays we're open until 4. Tuesdays and Thursdays we're open until 6:30, and then Wednesday, Friday, Saturday we're open until 5.
Awesome.
And you do get a lot of perks when you're an adopter with us. You know, we treat adoption not as like a transaction that ends, but more of like the beginning of a relationship. So you become part of the alumni or the network of adopted families. So when you adopt from us, you get a free wellness exam at any of the COIN facilities. There are several, all in the Chicagoland area, Northwest Indiana, so it's very convenient. So you get a free wellness exam for your pet if you adopt. You know, they're fully vetted already. We utilize the Maddie's Pet Fund Pet Assistant app, which is an app that you can download on your phone, and when you adopt an animal, it automatically imports all of the data that the shelter kept on your pet, and then it will send you surveys 1 day post-adoption, 3 days post-adoption, a week post-adoption, and a month post-adoption, and all the survey responses come directly back to us so we can monitor how your pet's doing, acclimating to its new home, and then we can stay in touch if you need our help or you need consultations or advice. And then we definitely do. We do a lot of follow-up with our adopters because we want to make sure the pet's settling.
Wow, so that's a pretty nice process.
Yeah.
So there's it feels like they become a part of the family.
Yes,
which is
much.
awesome. We love touring the facility. Like I said, going through, it's kind of heart-tugging because you do see these guys and girls in the cage, and and that same as any other shelter. But I mean. They do have volunteers here, which I want to ask you about as well. What is the process if someone there's absolutely a dog and cat lover? What do they need to do to go through to volunteer here?
So right now the process is you would go onto our website, humaneindiana.org, and there is a volunteer tab they would click on and fill out an application. Right now, the process is actually under construction. We're revamping the volunteer program again. We want to, make it so that the volunteer program is easy to onboard and has, good retention rate. So we're revamping the program. So we're not bringing on new volunteers right at this moment, but we're hoping that in about a month or 2 we will be again. Oh,
awesome. And like us, our house is pretty full right now. And like I said, it's really hard not to stretch the house, but we couldn't take in one. But if anyone maybe has the same situation, has 2 or 3 dogs, and really but have an itch to have a furry friend, this is an ideal place for them to come and help walk and help feed.
Yep. And foster as well. We can always use fosters.
Yeah, and that foster process, before we go and close out the show, once you describe that, if someone is interested in fostering, what do they do?
So for fostering, you would just go onto our website again, humaneindiana.org. You would click on the shelter tab, and there is on the page, if you scroll down, there is a section that says something about do you want to be a foster, and then you click on, you expand that paragraph, and then there is a link to an online application, and you just submit it, and it kicks it right to us, and then we contact you and get you set up with supplies, and we train you.
When we post the video, we'll put a lot of that information up, so that would be great. Is there anything else you want to share with us? Is there any maybe events coming up, like fundraisers that you want to share?
Right now, the biggest thing is Clear the Shelter in August. I would encourage people to come before then. Usually the population of animals that we have now will not be the same August. We usually try to move animals through the building as fast as possible, just because, again, a shelter is no substitute for a home. So we try our best to keep them stimulated mentally and physically to the best of our ability while they're in our care. But we know that, a cage is definitely not better than a home. So
definitely. Well, thank you very much for joining us today and sharing this information with our listeners, and we'll get this out as quickly as possible. And again, for a lot of you, thank you for watching this video, and we wish you a great rest of the week, and goodbye for now.
This episode of the Bill and Callie Show is brought to you by Wild Birds Unlimited of Cherville, bringing people and nature together.